Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will be continuing with figures of speech. This video will be part 2 of the series. The focus of today's video will be on exaggeration and understatement. This includes hyperbole, litotes, euphemism, innuendo, climax, and anti-climax. For an in-depth look into the comparisons category, which includes simile, metaphor, personification, apostrophe, and allusion, refer to my video of figures of speech part 1. In coming videos, we will be going through sound devices, contradictions, and other figures of speech. Now, onto the first figure of speech for today's video, hyperbole. An hyperbole is an over-exaggeration that is not meant to be taken literally. It aims to create humor or to emphasize a point. Let's look at the examples. The teacher complained that she had had hundreds of interruptions that day. This example does not necessarily mean that the teacher has had 100 interruptions in her day. Not quite literally, but it does mean that she has had many interruptions in her day, not necessarily 100. This is used to give a dramatic effect to emphasize how many interruptions she has had. The next example reads, "She prepared enough food to feed an army." This does not quite literally mean she has enough food to feed an army. It just means that she has made a lot of food. On to our next figure of speech, litotes. Litotes uses a negative and an opposite to understate what is intended. Let's look at our examples. He is no Einstein. This means that he is academically weak. The next example says, "The gruesome sight was far from pretty." It means that the sight was ugly. So in these sentences, we can see that a negative word, for example, in the first example, says no. That is a negative. Einstein is the opposite of being weak academically. The next example uses the word far, which is a negative, meaning it is not close. Pretty is the opposite of ugly. So here we see what is meant by reversing what is being said. The next figure of speech is euphemism. Euphemism expresses an unpleasant or uncomfortable situation in a more sensitive, kind, and tactful manner. The purpose is to soften the blow, protect feelings, or to be politically correct. As we see in the examples here, it says, "The camp forbids any form of chemical stimulants." This means drugs and alcohol. Chemical stimulants refers to drugs and alcohol in a more comfortable way. The next example says, "He passed away." This simply means that he died, but is a more kind and sensitive way of saying he died, because it is a sensitive situation and you would not want to offend anyone. Innuendo is the next figure of speech that we will be looking into. An innuendo is a disapproving remark which hints at something without stating it directly. In the examples here, we see a question and answer between two people. The first example says, "How did you like my production?" The person answers, "The sets were beautiful." This suggests to us that the production was not particularly impressive if the person who is answering is talking about the sets and not the actual production. In the next example, we see someone asking, "Do you possess a clothes brush?" This implies that you look scruffy. The next figure of speech that we will be looking into is climax. Now, you may have heard of climax as it falls into other facets of the English language. You have probably heard of a climax in a novel, a book, or a poem. So a climax is a build-up of ascending ideas. It reaches a peak, creating excitement and heightening tension. We see in the examples here. I saw, I stared, I screamed. The next example says, he stood on the chair, looked around, stuck his hand in the cookie jar, and was caught red-handed. We see a build-up of emotions and ideas in these examples. You want to know what happens next, as it creates excitement to the reader. The last figure of speech that we will be discussing today is anti-climax, or Bathos. An anti-climax is also a build-up of ideas, but the final statement is often flat and unexpected. The example here says, the room was luxuriously furnished, beautifully painted, tastefully decorated, and crawling with cockroaches. We see here that this is not what we intended to happen as we read through the sentence. It ends with something that is not expected and does not match the rest of the sentence. I hope you have enjoyed this video and it has given you insight into more figures of speech that have to do more with exaggeration and understatement. I will continue with this series, although if there is any other content that you would like me to go through, please comment down below or email me at everydaystudies101@gmail.com. Credits for this presentation goes to SlidesGo, as well as the content of this lesson coming from the English Handbook and Study Guide by Beryl Lutrin and Marcel Pincus. Please like, comment, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching and be back for my next video.